I'm Lola, Descours bassoonist, and I'm glad to be here today with you to answer a few questions from Presto Music about my new album, Bassoon Steps, recorded with the pianist Paloma Quider for Orchid Classics. Here are the questions. Where did the idea first come from to assemble this program, all Russian, all transcriptions, and record it? So the idea came after Tchaikovsky Competitions Award I won in 2019. It was a real springboard for my desire to introduce more the bassoon as a solo instrument. Maybe playing the Lenski aria in the finale made me realize that the warm and melancholic colors of the bassoon suits especially well to the Russian music, in my opinion. We all know the bassoon as the grandfather in Peter and the Wolf, Prokofiev. I thought, what could be more natural than to start from the noun, from Russian music, to bring the listener to discover the bassoon in a different way. Apart from the commission work of Lera Auerbach, all the pieces of the CD are indeed arrangements. Maybe because in the 19th century, strings and piano were the main solo instruments, and few wind instruments could have great repertoire during this century, thankful to sometimes strong human encounters between performers and composer, such as Brahms with the clarinetist Richard Mühlfeld. But unfortunately, this has not been the case for the bassoon. That's why we need to transcribe music. And on the other hand, the bassoon was always very present in Russian orchestral music, in Tchaikovsky symphonies a lot, in Rachmaninov piano concertos, in Glinka's operas, in Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade, for example, The Rite of Spring, Stravinsky, of course, and many appearances in Prokofiev and Shostakovich. So with this tradition of transcription so dear to Russia, these CDs for me the opportunity to pay homage to all these composers while opening the way for the bassoon as a solo instrument. Next question is, despite having been used in Handel's time to allude to death and by Stravinsky to conjure up a pagan ritual, today the bassoon often ends up being used as a shorthand for light-hearted buffoonery or for our adorable clumsiness in nature documentaries. How did things get this way? Hard question. The bassoon is indeed used a lot in dramatic moments, particularly in opera. Maybe it's warm, low, but also intimate and fragile timbre gives it a certain authenticity. Perhaps it allows itself more than other instruments to evoke fragility or the adorable clumsiness you just mentioned in the question. And of course, the inimitable staccato gives the bassoon a prominent place in cartoons, in nature documentaries. In our album with Paloma, you can hear the bassoon in this role, mostly in Shostakovich preludes, the role in which we are most used to hearing it, like sarcastic, dark, or clownish. And my desire in this album is to broaden these perspectives of the bassoon and to show also its lyrical and vocal qualities. Next question. The notes to this album mention early audiences for The Rite of Spring, mistaking the bassoon's high register for a saxophone. Can you see yourself performing saxophone repertoire in addition to the kinds of pieces adapted for this album? I think that if in 1913 the audience of the Rite of Springs in the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées in Paris could have mistaken the high register of the bassoon for a saxophone, I think it's quite different today, because woodwind sounds have changed a lot during this century. They used to be acidic, clear, timbered, and today I think we prefer them to be round, warm, and more homogeneous. So even if the bassoon is a wind instrument, it seems to me to be closer to the cello or the viola than to the saxophone. Next question. How much modification did Rachmaninov's cello sonata require when you came to adapt it for your own instrument? Indeed, very few changes had to be made. Few high notes were played an octave lower in the first movement. Some tap strings became arpeggios, of course, but not so many things. Yeah, I think the main part of the work is more to approach these very long romantic phrases, very long phrasing, and the vibrato, the cello vibrato. We are not used to play like that on the bassoon. Yeah. And generally, transcription was a big part of our work in this album. It's for us to be inspired by the original instrument, to get closest as possible to it, and in the same time offering with this adaptation a new perspective, a new light. That was our purpose. Next question. How much input did you have into the composition process for Lera Auersbach, I Walk Unseen, which you commissioned? So when I got in touch with Lera, I sent her an excerpt from the Tchaikovsky competition, again, this Lenski aria from Oniagin. And she was thrilled by the vocal quality of the bassoon, and I think she didn't expect to be interested in this project herself. Yeah, we talked several times about my musical tastes, and as it was the first time for her to write for the bassoon, we studied together the different contemporary possibilities, effects the bassoon offers. Then, once the work was composed, Paloma and I played it twice for her, and we were very inspired by her advice. She always told her, you can go more extreme, it's never too extreme for me. And maybe much more Russian than French, one might say. It was the last question, so thank you for being still with us. And feel free to add some other questions in the comments if you need. And sorry for my English, I did my best. It was quite hard questions. And enjoy listening Bassoon Step. Bye!